Hey, and welcome. It's Sunday, the 29th of March, going into April. And my name is T. Skellett, and today is my first live show on Panikin Rehab. And I just want to welcome everybody to our afternoon news show. Going to just bring up 10 items, 9 or 10 items of what's going on in the news. Today's Sunday, and just wanted to say, welcome. If you haven't seen Panikin Rehab, that's on every morning, Monday through Friday at 5 a.m. on YouTube and Getter. And it's a fun show. We have Tyler, who's our producer, who brings up things of the day, like if it's caramel candy day, or if it's Kit Kat day, which we're going to talk about later in the show, or whatever. Whatever day it is. And we have good news, and we kind of make fun of some things. And we have a couple of news items, but not much. We keep it light because it's 5 to 6 a.m., Monday through Friday. It's kind of fun, kind of hard to do at first, but then we got used to it. So welcome to the afternoon news, and I'm T. Skillett. In our news, you just always want to be reminded when you're talking to liberals, try to have a little fun, try a little humor. Always suggest town hall meetings. So we always attend town hall meetings so you can get your point of view out. If you go to a public meeting at your local municipality, always sign up to talk, because if you don't sign up, they won't call your name. You can't say anything once the meeting gets started. So always sign up for talk, even though you're not planning on saying anything. You might think of something and be helpful to the meeting. Focus groups, always try to be included in on focus groups, because there's a lot of crazy focus groups out there that have a lot of funny opinions, and you just always wonder where are our opinions. Talk to people. Always put down the phone and really talk to people, especially in your town. I live in a small town. I live in Central Florida, but it's not Orlando. It's a smaller town than Orlando, and it's always fun because we know everybody. We've been here 35 years, and we know where the best fish fries are on Friday afternoons, community. And to give you an example of that, I had my AC went out Thursday, right? Friday night. You don't really realize your AC goes out because it doesn't go on that much this time of year, but it got really hot on Friday. It was a hot day up into the high 80s, and it was pretty warm. So we knew we had a problem. We called Friday for service. They were booked, and then they'd have somebody hopefully come out on Saturday. So here's the thing: if you live in a small town and you know people, you get a better deal. But if you live at the beach and your AC goes out, hey, the repairman's going to look you right in the eye and say, you need a new AC unit. It's going to cost $12,000. Nothing you can do. But here in these small towns, this young man, 22 years old, technician came out, looked at the problem. It was a capacitator or whatever it was on my compressor. $150 on a Saturday, had it replaced, gave him a good tip. But can you imagine that you have your AC fixed on a Saturday for $150? That's unheard of. So just remember, there's some pluses to live in a small town and not some big metropolis or the beach where you're at the mercy of anybody that comes out. If you do support your local representatives, go knock on some doors and have real conversations with people that you're supporting your representatives. Always volunteer. Have volunteers. If you don't help people sign up to vote, you get what you get. Please support Save America Act. As you know, the USA is 250 years old this July 4th, and like anything that's 250 years old, needs a little bit of repair and love and care. So just remember that. Today's news: U.S. Marines 2,500 just rolled into the Middle East. Iran warns against any ground invasion, that they're going to light the ground on fire and repel. So if you can imagine that all of a sudden you're thinking about you see this on the horizon. Okay. So I'm hopefully that you can see this. I'm not sure, but if you see this on the horizon, a great big aircraft carrier with lots of helicopters on it, you might want to rethink that position just a little bit. So I don't know. Now, how to get that off, I haven't a clue. So let's see if we can remove it. Rotate, inspect, I don't know. And then if you see this on the horizon or this fly over your house in Iran or any property that's owned by Iran, and you see one of these bad boys, you might want to start running, maybe put a white sheet outside of your window, letting them know that you've given up. So don't know, but hopefully you saw that. It was a picture of an aircraft carrier for the Marines, aircraft amphibian, and also for a helo. Israel hits Tehran hard again yesterday. You know, Tehran is the capital of Iran, and we're freely flying over the capital of Iran, and they hit it hard yesterday. Also, Saturday, the 28th, was another No Kings protest. Supporters, NGOs promoters claim 8 million people participated. Well, I looked at the news yesterday. I didn't see 8 million participation, but maybe you did in your town. Maybe you saw, protesters in your town waving the No Kings. Well, they're doing good, because I support No Kings. We certainly don't have a king in the United States, and we haven't had one for 250 years. I know they got a king in England, and I know they got a king in Saudi Arabia. Maybe there's some kings down in Africa, maybe Malaysia. I don't know. But we certainly don't have a king. So I really don't know why they're protesting No Kings. But yesterday's protest was pretty much they were protesting the military action in Iran. Oh, so they were calling it a war, but nobody else has called it a war yet. But as you know, the No Kings protest is supported and organized by Code Pink, Women for Peace, which is a communist program. Also PSL. And so the PSL, a lot of teachers unions support PSL, and PSL is who's teaching your kids. And if your kid comes home with some funny ideas like everybody should have income no matter what, if they don't work or not, and you have minimum work income, and you have minimum housing, so and minimum food. So gee whiz, if you get free money and you get a free place to live that has free electrical and free food, I guess you don't have to worry about being too productive. So I don't know if that's a good idea or not. But here's some of the other organizations. They said over 500 organizations were involved. But when you think about Code Pink and Fat Roy Neville, he's organized over 1,000 NGOs himself and funded them. So Code Pink has different NGOs that they funded. So you had Breakthrough, BT Media, Code Pink, Women for Peace, Interreligious Foundation. You had Interreligious Foundation and Community Organization Incorporated. That's a long NGO. Justice and Education Fund, People's Dispatch, People's Forum Incorporated, People's Support Foundation, People's Welfare Association, Progress Unity Association, Progress Unity Fund, Tricontinental Ltd, and United Community Fund. These are all NGOs that support communism and socialism inside the United States. And that's who was putting together No Kings. All right. So that was yesterday. They said they had crowds of 8 million people. There was some special speakers up in Minneapolis. You had the Governor Waltz and his wife, and he was saying that, he supports Somalians, and he'll always support Somalians. Well, Somalian community seems to be the center focus of about a $9 billion ripoff of American taxpayers. Federal money and state money. So if you're in Minnesota, I'd get your money back. I know federally I'll be asking for our taxpayers' money back. And that was for medical and for daycare and for food, So there you go. You pay good money for giving people food and find out that there wasn't anybody getting food, and the money was put in suitcases and millions walking out of the Minneapolis airport, going back to Somalia. So he was supporting that yesterday in the No King speech that he gave. And also Bernie Sanders was up there in Minneapolis. So Bernie Sanders is from Vermont. How come Vermont didn't have their No Kings up in his own state he could have spoke at? But he seems to go to where all the hot spots are. Congress is stuck on DHS funding. Now, that they were negotiating back and forth. everybody's, well, if you fly, you're experiencing the TSA. So you already know to get to the airport early. Before all this happened, you would get to the airport an hour and a half early just to get through the TSA lines. I know in Central Florida we have horrendous TSA lines. Either it's a hit or miss. Either there's nobody going out or there's half of Orlando going out. So it just depends on when the tourists are going home and leaving Walt Disney World and going back home, or or a busy business day. But it's mostly tourist driven. Um, but now, since they're not funding TSA and the TSA workers are going without a paycheck, um, it's becoming quite difficult in some cities like Houston. Here, let's take a let's see if we have a picture of that. We're gonna put that up in Houston. Now, just think about this. You get to the airport in Houston, Texas. You get to Bush Airport in Houston, Texas, and you see a line there, and you're like, okay, well, gee, I'll just kind of get in line here. And they say, no, pal, you got to get to the back of the line. And you're like, well, where's the back of the line? It's 2 miles to the rear. You got to walk 2 miles to get into the back of the line, and then stay in line and walk 2 miles toward TSA to be cleared in Houston, Texas. Well, that's crazy. Nobody would do that. So it's sad that the Democrats presented a bill Friday night before they left for their Easter vacation. And in the bill, it had zero funding and stopping ICE in the new bill, stopping ICE and no funding for ICE. So that was in the bill that they turned down Friday night and left for their Easter vacation without putting anything together. So we're going to have long TSA lines continuing. Some of the cities have ICE, where ICE is helping TSA, and those lines seem to be zero. Like you have 10, 15 minutes waiting time. But for the cities like Baltimore, Maryland, that has refused TSA help, or Houston that's refused TSA help, or some of those more liberal blue cities that don't want ICE help, you're stuck. But I don't know who's going to Houston for spring break. I guess hopefully nobody. As you know, when you use an AI program and you start asking questions about it, maybe it's just me, but I'm getting slanted stories toward anti-Trump groups. So if you ask a question about Trump, the AI program kind of gives you an answer back, slanting a lot of conservative points of views, and kind of leans more toward the liberals. So I wondered if that's just me. I don't know. Okay, we have some weather updates. Tropical storm warnings, southeast United States, heavy rains, winds incoming. I guess it's bad timing that there's no funds for FEMA. So think a Democrat, you got a big old tree down the middle of your house, and you got to go live in a hotel, and you try to get a certificate or some compensation from FEMA for that, and there's nothing there. Remember, always support Salvation Army during storm season, because let me tell you, Salvation Army has mobile kitchens, and when you don't have any electricity for a week, you always see a Salvation Army cook truck that's cooking hot breakfast out there every morning to kind of try to ease the pain and give you a hot cup of coffee and some breakfast. That's always something very good with the Salvation Army. Let's see, North Korea. Wow, Kim Jong-un is in the news. Well, you haven't heard from him lately with Ukraine and now Iran or Venezuela. You haven't heard anything from Fat Kim, but North Korea tests a new rocket engine that can propel a rocket and hit the United States. Wow. Maybe Kim Jong-un doesn't have cable. I mean, maybe he didn't see that we went into Venezuela, turned off all their electricity and all their radar and anti-aircraft weaponry, and picked up their president and his wife out of a compound in the middle of a military base in Venezuela, and picked them up like picking up a weed out of the garden, taking them out to an aircraft carrier and bringing them back to the United States. He's now in jail. So maybe Kim doesn't know that even occurred in Venezuela. And I know he hasn't seen anything on Iran, because we kind of were free flying over Iran within about 4 days. So maybe his entertainment is just a puppet show. Who knows? All right. Well, this is a big news item. Who doesn't like Kit Kat bars? Okay. Candy stolen. All right. Kit Kat chocolate bars, 400,000 bars of delicious candy stolen from Italy that was going to Poland. Okay, what's the jingle? That was one of the best earworm commercials ever invented. Have a break, have a Kit Kat bar, right? Need a break, have a Kit Kat bar. Remember that jingle? Like earworm. Then we had Brazil. Well, there's a big Brazil fire in Brazil. The Amazon is getting hit with a massive fire. And so far, Brazil is refraining from getting any advice of how to fight this massive fire in the Amazon from Karen Bass or California Governor Gavin Newsom. So hopefully they won't get any advice on how to rebuild that part of the Amazon, because Karen Bass and Governor Newsom, they don't know how to help people rebuild after a fire. So there you go. Well, that's about it for the news on Sunday. This is the very first afternoon news broadcast by T. Skillet. I'm on Panikin's Rehab every morning on Monday through Friday, and on Wednesdays I help do an 8 o'clock show with Killer Carl Media. And with Killer Carl Media, we do a segment where I've done some research. And we've talked about NGOs. We've talked about the Obama Library and how $800 million plus, and it's not done yet. So it's probably going into the $1 billion into that presidential library. It'll be the most expensive presidential library ever constructed. So unbelievable that the South Chicago gave up a park for that, and the city is on the hook for $200 million for infrastructure to the library, rerouting of gas lines, electrical, roads, parking, and they gave up a park for the Obama library. So you can imagine. Let's see. All right, so we'll have some more information on Monday afternoon. Hopefully we'll get into Operation Arctic Frost. It seems that the special prosecutor in that case got a judge to wiretap Susie Wiles' telecommunications while she was campaign manager for President Trump in the 2024 presidential election. It's amazing, because you always wonder, well, what judge would approve wiretapping the campaign manager for Trump? And nobody's really advertising that it might have been Boasberg. So good old Jeb Boasberg, the favorite judge of Trump, who every time he does something, Judge Boasberg has a say on it. So this one's going to get some review, because if you start wiretapping the campaign manager of a presidential candidate who wins the presidency, I don't know if that's going to be really good for them. All right, that's about it. Thank you for tuning in, and you guys have a nice rest of your Sunday. All right, bye.